I went to boarding school in 7th grade, and they started throwing things at me, and by the time I got to the service, they were sort of throwing foot lockers and all their boots and all their shoes and everything at me.
Everybody, no matter whose house I spent the night at, everybody complained about my snoring. I like to camp. We go camping a lot, meet people in the campground, and even we go camping with friends. And one night, my real good friend I graduated from school with, his wife said, "What's that noise? I hear something outside the camp." She said, "Go back to sleep, his daddy's snoring."
Snoring has always been thought of as one of life's little annoyances. In movies, cartoons, and literature, it was always treated humorously. Even the inventions for anti-snoring devices down through the years have an almost comic approach taken by their creators. However, today, snoring is a much more serious subject. Not only has it strained the relationships of many couples, but for heavy snorers, there can be very serious, life-threatening health risks. The good news is that in most cases, if you snore, you and your family don't have to live with it. This is Mike Thompson, a graphics designer at an advertising agency.
What happened was I got married, and before long my wife told me that she just couldn't stand my snoring anymore.
Well, the trouble was he was getting his sleep, but I wasn't because of his snoring. I was tired and irritable and in a bad mood all the time because of him.
Well, I had to do something. That's when my wife strongly suggested that I go see someone.
To understand what can be done about snoring, first you need to understand what causes it. In the back of the mouth are a number of soft tissues, including the uvula, the soft palate, tonsils, adenoids, and the tongue. This part of the airway is not supported by nearby bone structures, so these soft tissues must support themselves. This is no problem when you're awake and active, because the muscles keep the airway open. But when you sleep, your muscles relax, and the unsupported soft tissues of the mouth and throat can collapse into the airway, causing snoring. Snoring is simply the sound of these structures striking against each other and vibrating during breathing. There are several reasons why some people are more likely to snore than others. Their throat tissues may be too large. For example, large tonsils and adenoids commonly cause snoring in children and sometimes in adults. And overweight adults often have bulky neck tissues. Sometimes the soft palate, or uvula, is too long. Sometimes people snore only when they have a cold, allergy, or sinus infection. This is usually caused by blocked nasal airways. When your nose is stuffed up, you pull harder to inhale air, creating a vacuum in the collapsible part of the airway. This vacuum pulls the floppy tissues of the throat into the airway, causing snoring. The nasal passage can also be blocked because the septum, the partition that separates the two nostrils, has been pushed out of place or deviated. This is often the result of an injury. Usually, snoring is caused by a combination of several of these factors. So, what are the solutions? Mike Thompson sought the help of an otolaryngologist, a physician who specializes in medical treatment and surgery of the ear, nose, throat, and related structures of the head and neck.
Well, she says I snore every night, but only on my back. When she rolls me over to my side, I don't snore anymore.
You otherwise pretty healthy guy?
Yeah.
How's your blood pressure?
Doctor says it's a little high. It runs a little high, but not enough for him to give me any medication.
The doctor took my medical history, and then he gave me a detailed examination of my nose and throat.
Maybe a little, sure there are no lumps or bumps.
He told me that in cases like mine, there are a lot of things you can try on your own that might help. One was to start a regular exercise program.
Exercise helps tone up muscles, including those in the back of the throat. And exercise, combined with dietary changes, can help you lose weight if you're overweight. This often decreases your snoring. Avoid tranquilizers, sleeping pills, and antihistamines before bedtime. They relax throat muscles even further, worsening snoring. Don't drink alcohol within 4 hours of bedtime for the same reason. Avoid heavy meals within 3 hours of bedtime. Let your bed partner go to sleep first, so your snoring won't prevent them from falling asleep. Your partner may also benefit from earplugs. Establish regular sleep patterns to avoid getting overtired. Sleep on your side, not your back. A tennis ball sewn into the back of your pajamas may help. Tilt the head of the bed up. Put a 4-inch block under the headboard to elevate your head. This may decrease nose congestion. If you've been diagnosed as having a nasal allergy, your doctor may recommend medication.
Well, I stopped drinking alcohol and eating a big meal before bedtime, and that helped a little bit. But what really worked for me was going to sleep on my side. Now, that was a little hard to get used to because I always slept on my back, but I could eventually go to sleep on my side. Every now and then, though, I still get this pain in my ribs, and it turns out that Mary's trying to roll me over. She has these serrated elbows. But I snore a lot less than I used to.
Self-help measures helped Mike Thompson, but they don't work for everyone. And what's an annoyance for some people can be a very serious condition for others. Some snorers eventually develop a condition called obstructive sleep apnea, which is far more serious than ordinary snoring. This is Mark O'Hara, a sports reporter at a suburban newspaper. A lifetime heavy snorer, he recently noticed a change. He'd fall asleep during the day, and that hadn't happened before.
Sometimes I'd cover a game in the afternoon and sleep before I got back to the office. I would pull over to the side of the road. I would fall asleep while driving, which was, everybody that's ever driven it for a long time, that nodding feeling. And that was happening to me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for no particular reason.
Mark went to an otolaryngologist who did a physical exam and x-ray studies. His doctor also recommended a night in a sleep clinic. At the sleep clinic, your respiration, brain activity, and many other functions are carefully monitored as you sleep. From these results, your doctor can determine if you have sleep apnea, and if you do, how severe it is.